this is kind of a weird thing to say, but I feel like sometimes, especially atheistic scientists, can get a little too prideful in thinking that the potential to know how the universe works front to back is within the means of their understanding.
Yeah.
Like they can understand that. And in doing so, they completely don't acknowledge the potential, at least, for a whole metaphysical reality to be a massive component of all reality.
Yeah. A scientist that hasn't been taught like philosophical, like, because what is philosophy, right? Like I saw this study some time ago, that how do people come to know what is truth in the world, right? So many people say it's science. Well, as Trent Horn says a lot of times, he will say that when you are using science to try to measure metaphysical realities, like realities beyond the physical world, it's like trying to weigh a chicken with a yardstick, right? You're using the wrong tool, right?
Precisely, yes. Yeah, man.
So that's the problem there. Like what is science? Well, science is taking in natural phenomena that go on in the world and looking at it, analyzing it, coming up with hypotheses and finding out whether those case studies are actually accurate or not, right? And that's the idea of science. When we're talking metaphysical realities, you can't do that. So I wouldn't want to just, if I were to like put my hand to the fire and say, are they being prideful in saying that? Yes, they're being prideful, but it's also because of a lack of information about something, that a reality that they don't understand.
Right.
Which is why, like when Stephen Hawking or whoever argues against, I don't know, like a Bishop Barron character, whoever else it is out there, like, so often Stephen Hawking ends up looking like, wow, like this guy has this incredible IQ, but has no idea what he's talking about, right? And, because he doesn't understand the metaphysical reality. He hasn't been trained in it. He might be able to talk about physical reality in incredible ways and blow all of our minds to see that and understand that. However, he hasn't been trained in the art of understanding philosophical, metaphysical reality. And so in that, a lot of times I'm like, oh my goodness, he doesn't understand like that. But that's not his fault. It's not something, and thanks be to God, he did learn everything he needed to learn about the physical reality. But the problem with a lot of times with incredible scientists and people of incredible IQ is they miss out on something because they're so sharp. They end up missing out on something like, well, this clearly must be the engineer. I was a missionary at Bradley University at one point and worked there. And there's a lot of engineers, people training to be engineers there. And they end up thinking like, well, the physical reality ends up being their end all be all, right? And they miss out on this whole other phenomena in the world that, because they're so, but thanks be to God, they're working on that. But let the philosophers also recognize that we need to inform each other. So, and because sometimes philosophers and religious gurus can become just as prideful. Say, you guys are just all fools because all you focus on is the scientific world. That's a heresy we call dualism, right? Like there's the body and the soul. And we live in a world that constantly struggles with this connection of body and soul, right? And so that being the case, scientists are going to struggle with the metaphysical reality sometimes, and sometimes the philosophers are going to understand with the physical reality. But that's the beauty of it, is it leads us right back to prayer if we are humble, understanding that I don't understand a whole lot of stuff over here, and I don't understand a whole lot of stuff over here, but God has given me a gift in this area, and it's okay that I don't know all of that. I don't have to know everything. But that's the beauty of prayer.
It's amazing for me. I've heard incredibly intelligent, world-renowned people that are experts, like an Elon Musk or something. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, when they're pressed on the issue of God, their hang-ups are things that an expert in theology could actually explain very well to them and perhaps, explode his faith. Absolutely. But I'm like, wow, it's really apparent that although an incredibly smart individual, Elon Musk is not an expert in theology. Mm-hmm. Although he's smart, there's so much he doesn't know in this field. Yeah. Like, we can be experts in one field, and most likely we're not experts in another, especially something like faith. So